Welcome back to Chris and Retro. Today, we are going to talk about the top 10 ways to rebuild your reputation or your personal brand. Um, with prevention, it's great that we can get ahead of things and stay out of trouble. But for many of us, that didn't really work out so well. So I want to share with you a few things that I've used. Again, I'm not a counselor or certified really in anything except for my own experiences. But I want to do is just share a few things that I did to help mitigate some of the baggage of what was on my name for based on my behavior for a season of my life. At the same time, more importantly, is to create more opportunities for yourself as you enter into this new world. One of the things that can be so tremendously frustrating is that within you, you want everything to be, you want to do better. You want to shed all those old behaviors. If you've had a criminal history, you're at a place where you rigorously want to be able to participate in a world that doesn't have that in it. But for that to happen, it's going to require an entire construct around you, a brand new community, but at the same time, some opportunities, and those opportunities aren't always given to us. So when we have a season, whether it's a criminal history or addiction is destroyed a lot, or you've gone through a season of lower performance in your career and things have just not worked out there, and you're trying to rebrand your reputation so that you're now somebody that people see you as somebody that you want to be seen as. And at the same time, with that, as you can imagine, it's not unlike some branding efforts. There better be some substance behind it, or it doesn't hold up. So I'm going to share with you 10 things that I've noticed in my own life that hopefully will help you with yours. The first thing when you're trying to rebuild your personal brand is to declare your goals clearly and constantly write them down. So I'm a big fan of declarations, and I've talked about this in the show a bunch of times. Saying I want to do something really doesn't, whenever I hear that, I'm like, that's nice, because I want to can be for a lot of reasons. I'll use addiction as an example. I can say that I want to get better, but I might be telling you that because I don't want to lose a relationship. Also, I don't want to lose my job. I don't want to pay the big prices for crimes I've committed, or any number of things. I want to do this, but will I? That's the difference. Is when I declare something, I say I will. And for me, I said I will get my life back. I will go forward. I will do things to make my life better. And I will be a sober living person. And those are all things that are part of the trajectory that I set for myself in a declaration that I chose to have. With that, I'm constantly declaring that. But at the same time, is writing it down. What I mean by writing is daily journaling. Keep track of where you're headed. I journal still. I journal the same way I did in rehab all the way through. I've been doing it literally daily since, and I find that to be my flight plan. Number 2, big one, make promises and keep promises. Now, why do I say it that way? Because everybody says, I keep my promises, whatever, and I'm a trustworthy person. I always do what I say I'm going to do. But the point is that by making a promise in the first place, it's all along the lines of declaration. I'm actually saying I'm going to do something. I'm telling you all I'm going to do this. And then when I follow through with it, that I'm believable. At the same time as that becomes the pattern of behavior, it's a huge way to rebuild your reputation when you say you're going to do something and you're always doing it. It could also detract your reputation depending on your history. If you say you're going to go get somebody and you always do it, that's going to build your reputation that way too. If you're known as somebody that's a pretty violent human being and you're always promising to go take out your enemies and you do it, well, you'll build your reputation that way as well. But on the flip side of it, the positive, it works. Say what you're going to do, declare what you're going to do, and then do it. Now all of a sudden people around you going, man, that person's pretty reliable. And you'll see that a theme through this whole interaction we have today. Number 3, find a volunteer opportunity that you're passionate about. Don't just find any volunteer opportunity, but also be reliable and flexible in those environments. So be the volunteer that organization can count on, not just one of the hundreds that show up to make it seem like they're volunteering. Volunteering matters so much because as we're going through this very personal rigor of our own reputation, our own personal brand, and trying to rebuild this mess we've made, part of that necessity is that we're giving back in some capacity. And if you're volunteering for an organization that matters to you, that's a way for you to give back in a way that makes sense for a lot of people. And it's a structure that you don't have to create. So for me, I've volunteered for way too many things early on. And I did it because I was just trying to do everything I possibly could do the right thing. That buckshot approach didn't work out well for me. I've scaled it back to a few, and I've stayed with one organization all the way through from 2018 till today. And I'm an ambassador for an organization called Shatterproof. And the whole point of Shatterproof is dealing with stigma and addiction and having evidence-based treatment around addiction. So I believe in that organization. It's created a lot of opportunities for me, and I've also been made sure I was a valuable contributor to what they do as well. That mattered to me. You'll find yours. Volunteer opportunities are huge, but you got to make sure you're dedicated to them and don't just put your name on a ledger somewhere. Number 4, share victories with others. When at first glance, it's going to sound like I'm saying brag about what you're doing well. I'm not. What I'm saying is that if you have a situation that's gone well, and you've had people around you that have been with you through that, raise them up as part of that victory story. So it's not just, hey, look what I did. And then all these people that supported you around are going, not for nothing, you probably wouldn't have done that if it hadn't been for my support. When I can promise you early on in this effort of rebuilding your life, improving your reputation, improving your personal brand, whatever way you want to word it, you're always going to have people around you that influence that to be better. If you have nobody out there, corroborating your good work, the message is never going to get out that you're doing well and you're not in those opportunities, and your new life isn't going to be created around you because nobody else really sees that in you. Just like if you're not serious about, rebuilding your brand and you go out and just kind of half measures all the way through, people are not going to co-sign it because they're going to assume that you're inevitably going to go back to your old ways. When you win and things, so for example, you're on post release papers and somebody has helped you get through, a new gate in your recovery treatment. Make sure those around you at least go to them and say, thank you for your support. Thank you so much for helping me. Have a specific example. Say, this is why you were important to me in my journey. That was a big one I did, and I still do it today because there are people that measure. I actually just did it this morning with a training partner of mine. That was we were working on some stuff, and I just reminded him that he was the first person. He hugged me when I got out of jail the last time, and I knew that was a turning point for me. He was also my employer at the time, but he's become a friend, and I just let him know, those little moments make a big deal to people. They make every difference in the world, and they show you that there's still a place for you to exist outside of your old world. And for me, that was important at that time. And so with him, I share with him that victory and why he is a contributing factor to me being able to do what I do today with work. So share your victories. Number 5, be stable and consistent. Be stable and consistent. Constantly be on path with what you're doing. It doesn't mean be all crazy and bouncing off the walls, pretend happy. Doesn't mean be power of positive thinking or the next, God knows what, motivational speaker. You can just be stable and consistent, and that alone will show a significant departure from what you once were. Number 6, be disciplined in small things and big. For me, one of the ways that I have to stay disciplined is my daily journal. I follow the exact same journal every single day. I write down my goals. I write down what I'm positive about me, so I don't forget that I actually still have value. That's things I'm thankful for, that appreciation for what actually is going well. And then I have a prayer section. Some people say inspiration. I put prayer because the reason I want to invest in somebody else's life, I believe this is a spiritual journey and a physical journey. So my prayer life is to invest in somebody else's life and create a circumstance in the realm that I believe also exists that I want to have an influence in. And so that's what my prayer is. If I do that exact same thing every single day, and I've done it every single day since I left rehab in April of 2017. Document your progress. So as you go through your work, make sure that you're documenting what you're doing. One thing that I will do, and this is not really documentation, but it illustrates one of the things that I'll do. I'm just going to put my phone here. Bear with me because I'm not fast at phones, and I won't sing to you while we're getting through it. So if you take your phone, one of the ways I document. So here's one day in my phone calendar view. Maybe today's I'm having a bad day. I'm considering blowing it all up and going back out and drinking again. If I take this calendar and I swipe backwards all the way back to September 11th, 2017, can you imagine how long it's going to take me to get back there? It reminds me that every 24 hours between that day and today is not worth me throwing away all those days for any bad day I'm having today. I've had good days. I've had bad days. I've had all kinds of things happen between there and there. And none of it would I throw away because I have one day that I feel like giving up. That's a way of documenting that's been very impactful for me. Number 8, stay simple and know your limits. One thing we do is we want to do everything right. We want to do everything, show the world we're better. We want our reputation to improve. We want everybody to see we're great everywhere. Well, we can't be. We're humans and we have a limitation. Keep your stamina in check. Know what your capacity is and stay within it. Do everything, again, ownership. Do everything that you have ownership over, and everything that you don't have control over, just leave it go for now. Number 9, create healthy boundaries. So one of the things that you want to do is make sure that if you have relationships that are causing you to be derailed, end them. If you have relationships that are healthy, make sure they're within the confines of your mission and your objectives that you stated. Number 1, the goals you've declared, your relationship should be supporting of that. Our relationships and the people that we surround ourselves with are massively important to rebuilding our reputation, because they're the ones that are going to go out and say, hey, did you see what Chris is doing now? Holy crap, I can't believe the change in his life. That's important. And why is that important? Of course, it's somewhat self-serving, but what are we doing? We're trying to create an environment that's new, and it creates opportunities for us so we don't have to go back to the old way and live. And for that to happen, other people have to believe that we have value in that new environment. Now, I can believe I have worth. I've had friends over and over again say, Chad Marks again said, we're precious. He's got value. I have another friend of mine, Brian. He says, I have value, and you have value. Everybody does. He has a statement he makes around that. We have value, but a lot of times it's hard for us to see people and co-sign them in a certain place if we only see them the old way. So we do need advocacy and those around us speaking that. And so those boundaries that we create, so we have healthy people advocating for us, at the same time, people not dragging us down, is super important. And then the last thing, number 10, make sure that we're truth tellers. Of course, everybody's like, I'm an honest, or they'll say, to be honest, and then I know everything before that was a lie. But not always, but you know what I mean. To be a truth teller. So we don't say things to harm other people. But if we have to own something and something comes up and we screw up or whatever, tell the truth. If you got a situation that you want to, you're feeling a certain way, tell the truth. If you've got a circumstance in a relationship where it's not working the way you need it to work, don't hide it. Tell the truth. Don't bottle it up. Just tell the truth. Now, respect is a big part of that. But being a truth teller knows that I can trust you. I might not have been able to trust you before, but you're willing to go into uncomfortable places so I can trust you now. That's important. So these are the 10 things. So the top 10 things, again: declare your goals and clearly and consistently and write them down. I'm sorry, declare your goals clearly and consistently. Write them down. I said that a little weird. Number 2, make promises and keep them. Number 3, find a volunteer opportunity that you're passionate about and stick with it. Number 4, share your victories with others. Number 5, be stable and consistent. Number 6, be disciplined. Number 7, document your progress. 8, stay simple, know your limits, stamina. Number 9, create healthy boundaries, with the people around you and the circumstances you allow yourself to be in. Number 10, be a truth teller. With those 10 things, I can promise you'll have improvement. You may not have everything come together for you, but I found in my life that if I stick to that plan, I'm seeing immeasurable outcomes for it. And I can tell you, I wouldn't be here today. I would more than likely be back doing the old ways, old days, had I not followed at least some of those 10 things. You may have a different 10 list, but I'm pretty certain that a good portion of them would be on yours as well. I'll put this together and put it in some kind of a post so that you have it as well as a follow-up. But I appreciate you guys tuning in today. Look at your own life. Recognize this. If you're in a situation where you had a circumstance that caused you, maybe your whole life has been one of crime or problems, or maybe your whole life has been around just all kinds of craziness, or maybe you had a really good start to life and then you had a window in the middle that just really blew up. Take this stage seriously. These new days, take seriously. Your reputation is massively important. And just because you were labeled one way before doesn't mean you can't go through a brand building exercise for yourself. We've seen recently brands blow their own reputation up just because they get involved in too much politics. Are they able to repair their reputation? Absolutely. Look at Johnson & Johnson. They poisoned a bunch of kids with cyanide and Tylenol back in the day, and now they're one of the largest, most powerful corporations in the world. From that day when they almost lost everything through a recall to today, they're one of the biggest healthcare companies in the world. They rebuilt their reputation. It was because of how people saw them and how they were willing to advocate for them. The same thing holds true in our own personal lives. I hope this was helpful for you guys today. Please stay focused on your own plans and your own recovery and your own brand. Do the very best you can to do the very best with what you have for yourself today. And by all means, until the next time we talk, stay out of trouble.